Okay, it's 5:01. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do a roll call. Ms. Heredia? Present. Ms. Hardin? Present. Myself and Secretary Terrazas?
Present.
Ms. Fletcher, did Mr. Guadiana let you know? No? Would you mind giving him a call or sending a text message?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, that moves us to board norms. Go ahead, Secretary Terrazas.
Actively listen to all perspectives.
Number 2, close the loop, responding to concerns and questions as a unified board.
Model the professionalism we accept from all members of the district and community. Customer service orientation.
Assume positive intent.
Be positive and responsive.
Okay, and if we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zeus symbol of perfect friendship among the United Nations.
That moves us to item number 2, student representative report. Okay. Is this the time where are we recognizing our cheerleaders, or is that why everyone's here, or are you guys doing public comments? Okay. If you would, is everyone going to give public comment? Okay, will you guys fill out the public comment form? Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, thank you. Okay, that moves us to item number 3, action items. Approval of agenda items. Mr. Corey, do you have any recommendations?
Depends on how fast they write back there, but I would like to move public comment we can do it right after our action items.
Okay.
And then that way, you ladies, you're not here forever. Deal? Oh, you're welcome. It's going to be a little long, so.
Okay, so do I have an approval of the agenda with that change?
I move that we approve the agenda items as presented.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Mr. Guadiana, it was just to move item number 7, public input, after the action items. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. That moves us to item number B, approval of the regular board meeting minutes of March 28th, 2024.
I move that we approve the regular board meeting minutes of March 28th, 2024.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, those are passed. That moves us to item C. Approval of the budget transfer 27552 CTE Statewide Innovation Zone. Mr. Ryan, would you like to speak to this item?
Yes, I have this item, this budget transfer for you. It's identical to the budget transfer we just did last month for the same thing. It's just that we had one more stipend paid to a teacher for the innovation zone grant. So it's just for, about $733, something like that. But it's just moving from one function to another. So I asked that you approve this, and I didn't run this through the finance committee. I did send an email to you because it was kind of an urgent matter that we get this one approved. So that's the reason for that.
Okay, and I did see the email, and I didn't see anyone had any questions from finance committee.
Right, there was no response. It's pretty straightforward, and it mirrors exactly what we did in our last meeting also. So it's just an addition to.
Okay, thank you. I'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the budget transfer 27552 CTE Statewide Innovation Zone.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, that moves us to item.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes.
Ryan. That moves us to item D. Approval of the 2024-2025 school year calendar. Are you speaking to this, Mr. Clark?
Yes, ma'am. So in your packets, you received calendars and they are incorrect. So if they're in your packet, please pull those out. And there were 2 new calendars sitting here on the table. So on the table are the ones that are the correct calendars. So anything you received in your packet before today, well, everything in it's correct except one day. We went back and fixed a day. So we have 2 calendars, and there's kind of a bigger discussion here than calendars. So we have a 4-day week calendar, which is very similar to the calendar that we're on this current school year. And then, of course, we know we're under the situation that we need to increase 15 percentage points in our language arts scores to be able to receive a waiver to continue on the 4-day week. So what the New Mexico PED is asking us to do is to have our 4-day calendar as well as a 5-day calendar. So the calendars are here for your review and approval. The one piece that changed on the ones that were in your packet is actually July 31st. So we went back in, and one of the stipulations that we're under, and I can't remember the school year, 22-23 school year, we cannot go to school less hours than we did that year. So that year, our district, I kept saying 1,140 is the minimum, but that year our school district went to school 1,189. So we cannot do less than that year. So we had to build a calendar that exceeded the 1,189. And I don't know if any of you have ever been part of this process, but it's extremely difficult. And I want to give huge shout outs to Ms. Chavita and also Jasmine, our secretary at our office. These poor ladies they probably don't want to look at another calendar for a really long time. The process is absolutely amazingly difficult. So, and honestly, I don't know how they pulled this off, but the calendars that you're looking at is 1,190. And if you've done calendar ever, I don't know how that's even possible that we got it that close. So we had to exceed 1,189, and we sure did by 1 hour. So the calendar that you're seeing is actually 1,190 hours. So you can see up at the top, the only change from your previous calendars are those 3 green days, and it's actually the 31st of July. We were able to change that day to an in-service day, and before we thought we were going to be okay with the elementary hours, but we weren't going to be okay with the high school hours. But actually, after running all the equations, we were within an hour. So we were actually thinking of actually having that day be different from elementary than middle school and high school, but the way it came out within that hour, we're able to go ahead and approve a calendar for the entire district that everyone's on the same schedule. We needed to add 1 day in there because there was some training that we want to do with our staff during that time, and we needed an extra day there. So that was the reason that day got added in. So we've gone through calendar committee with both of these calendars. Usually we would go out to vote, but we felt like that was kind of like not necessary this year because I would assume that you would have a 100% vote for a 4-day calendar and a 0 for a 5. So we didn't feel that was necessary this year. So we have gone through our calendar committee. There were parents present that gave us great input, and here's our 2 proposed calendars. I think another question I would have for the board would be when we are submitting our budget this coming year, the request from the PED is that we would submit a 4-day and a 5-day calendar. And I'm curious of the direction you want me to go with that, if we want to just submit a 4 and send that in, or if we want to wait and see what happens, or if we want to go ahead and submit a 4 and a 5. So I was curious on how you'd like me to handle that.
I'm thinking maybe submit both. I don't know what are everyone else's thoughts?
Is there a deadline for the submission?
So the calendar is supposed to be submitted with our budget. And
That's
so,
April 15th?
does it go with our first one? So April 24th? April 24th is our first budget submission. And in the process of building the calendar, it has if you have a 4-day calendar, it does say in there that you are supposed to submit a 5. Lots of districts are choosing different roads, and so that's why I asked you guys as a board how you would like me to proceed.
What is the Superintendent's Association's take on it?
Their take, I think, is they're joining the litigation. So I think the Superintendent's Association, I think the NEA, there's quite a few pretty big, powerful groups that are joining together. And according to my report today, it sounds like it's going in on the 15th. So we're a few days away.
Okay.
If we submit both of them with the budget, that does not imply that we prefer one over the other, correct?
I don't think it does. I just think if you look in your packet, I included, so farther than these calendars, if you look into your packet, this is the data coming from NMPED, and it's the scores of all the districts. And it shows as a district where everybody's at. And there's a couple of things, of course, that I would like to point out in this is, here we look at Cobre schools and we can see where we are, and then the amount of improvement that we need to be able to get a waiver. But what I found most interesting is at the end of this, it has the averages for 4-day weeks and 5-day weeks, and the 4-day school weeks in the entire state actually exceeds the 5-day weeks by not a lot, but by a little.
Less than 0.5%.
Yeah, less than 0.5%. And so again, I've said this the whole time. I said they're going at this all the wrong directions. Time is not the factor. So I've said this the whole time that if we go to school 4 days, 5 days, if we go to school, every day of the whole year, the key factor is having an amazing teacher. And if New Mexico PED and Cobre schools want to raise their scores, then that's where we need to put our focus, is placing amazing teachers with our students. And
So if you were to submit, we have to submit two, so both of them will have to be submitted. Can we say we prefer the 5-day over the 4-day? I'm sorry, the other way around, the 4-day
yeah,
over the 5-day.
I think that's a given. I think in any district in this situation, there's definite a preference of the 4-day week.
Well, HB 2 takes effect on July 1st, correct? So until that time, we are not subject to any mandate until such time that it becomes in effect.
This goes 100% correct, and this goes back to our point as a district. It is very difficult to plan contracts, all of the other things that we need to do and get in place. And if they're thinking that the scores will come back to us sometime in mid-July, and then we're supposed to turn around and implement one calendar or another to our community, to our students, like people have already started planning vacations, like all that stuff is a big process. And I just think from the New Mexico Public Education Department, they don't understand, or I hate saying the words, don't care of the situation they're placing us in. And it's just not our district. We're talking across the entire state of New Mexico. We're just part of the process here.
Maybe that other option you gave, let's submit the 4-day, and then when they ask for the 5-day, then we'll turn it over.
And that
puts
why
us in kind of a gray area.
I have both. We have both. They're ready. They're approved. So it's not like it's going to take us any time if they come back to us and they say, hey, you have to. We're not sure in the process because they keep changing. Well, they change the rules a lot. But in the process of submitting the budget, it might not even submit if there isn't that other one there. So we're not there yet, but I just wanted to kind of get some directions. If we're not able to submit our budget, of course, we would have to submit that 5-day calendar to get that process through. But we're not to that place yet.
So let me check the calendar. So we have a meeting the 22nd, and the budget is due the 24th.
Yes, sir.
Can we push this decision up until the 22nd? And you find out more information?
Every day we're learning new things, so if that's what you guys would like to do.
I'd rather just approve both, and then we submit the 4-day, and then when they ask for the 5-day, we turn it over. Because we don't know what's going to change in a couple weeks. And if you're saying they're changing things every day, it's just going to make it.
I think that would work, is just to approve calendars tonight, because we're okay with the calendars. I don't have a problem there. But then maybe making a decision more on how we're going to proceed as a district. We can make that decision at that time.
Sounds good.
Okay. So is there any questions on calendar A or B?
Just like, I had a question, like on the 4-day week, you recognize Memorial Day, and on the 5-day week, you don't. Is that on purpose, or?
Say it again, on the 4-day week, we recognize
Memorial Day, the 26th of
Memorial
May,
Day.
and the 5-day week, you don't. Is that on purpose?
It's
a federal holiday?
It's all a numbers game. Yeah.
Or is it just a typo?
No, I think Jasmine just noted it, but we in school, if you notice, on the 22nd is the last day for both calendars. I think Jasmine just put it there just to say, guess what, it's Memorial Day, right? So that we'll take that off because it can get confusing. But if you look, the 22nd, that says last day in the semester for student staff on the 22nd, both calendars. And then graduation is on the 24th. So we'll take that Memorial Day off just because it does look a little confusing.
And then the other thing I noticed is so there would be no spring holiday for a 4-day. There's still spring break, but
it's right. We had to give up something. We did talk to the decision on calendar committee.
okay.
Because if you notice, This year, this coming year, they're getting a call break.
Okay,
Last year, we did not get a call break. So they're willing to do a synchronous day on the 21st and count that as an instructional day.
okay. Any other questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So it's a motion to approve both of the calendars, and then we'll make a selection on the 22nd of this month. I make a motion to do it.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes. That moves us to item E, approval of a board reorganization. I believe this was your agenda item.
Yes. I want to express some concerns about the upcoming litigation and the path that we need to move on with especially the finance committee. The HB2 will grant the authority to PED to remove the principal, the superintendent, and the board in non-compliance with the expectations for meeting the percentage of proficiencies. And I think that we've gone a long time, and this agenda is reflective of it as well, without taking an active part on making sure that our budget reflects the needs of the individual schools. That should have been in process since early February at latest. The other part is the litigation that's going on. There's 5 cases going on, to which I'm a party by myself, and I have consultations with the attorneys that we're doing. We spend an incredible amount of time working on our responses. And I don't know if that's being done. It's not being shared with the part that pertains to the district. There are 3 litigants on the, not the plaintiff, but the defendant side, and that is myself, Dr. Spoleta, and the district. And I believe that I have much more experience in the parts of litigation. And I believe that we need to be informed as a board more wholly about all the aspects of that lawsuit. And I think we need to have the experience to do that. So I nominate myself for being president to take us through that time.
Okay, is there any other nominations?
And this is just for president.
Well, we'll go ahead and do each office.
Okay. I'd like to nominate Gabby Begay for president.
Okay, is there a second for Mr. Guadiana's nomination for president? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and call for a second for my nomination.
I'll second Ms. Begay to continue as our president, school board.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, I'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Ms. Heredia?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Harden?
At this time, I will not vote.
Is that an abstention?
Yes.
Okay. Myself, yes. Secretary Terrazas?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Guadiana?
No.
Okay, so I have a 3-2 vote. I will retain my position as president. Let's go ahead and go to vice president. Are there any nominations for vice president?
I nominate that Mr. Guadiana continues as our vice president for Cobre School Board.
And I'd like to nominate Mrs. Heredia. So I'll go ahead and call for a second for Mr. Guadiana to retain his position as Vice President?
I second that.
Okay, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. And I wanted to second, I'm sorry, oh, I'm sorry, I can't make the second. I'll go ahead and call for the vote. Ms. Heredia?
Yes, in favor.
Okay. This is for Mr. Guadiana to retain his position. Okay. Is it still yes? Abstention? No?
Abstention.
Okay. Ms. Harden?
Guadiana?
So is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Myself is no. Secretary Terrazas?
Yes.
And Mr. Guadiana?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Guadiana stays as our Vice President. This opens up our secretary. Are there any nominations for the secretary position?
I nominate Mr. Terrazas.
And I'll second that. Any other nominations for secretary? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call for the vote. Ms. Heredia?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Harden?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Secretary Terrazas?
Yes.
And Vice President Guadiana?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Terrazas, you're gonna stay our secretary. Okay, that moves us to item number 7, public input. They didn't? Okay, let me just read this in so you guys know kind of the procedures. So the board provides the opportunity to speak on either agenda items or items of concern or both. In order to ensure that each individual has an opportunity to address the board provides a speaker a total of up to 5 minutes to speak during one or both designated times. So we don't have both designated times, but we move the public comment for this to be on the agenda next. The board president will recognize speakers, maintain proper order, and ensure adherence to time limit of 30 minutes for all public input speakers, and a maximum of 5 minutes per speaker. The president may also set a time limit of less than 5 minutes for individual speakers based on the number of requests received. Questions of fact asked by the public shall, when appropriate, be answered by the president or referred to the superintendent for reply. No action or discussion shall transpire among board members regarding such questions or comments. Questions requiring investigation shall be referred to the superintendent for later report to the board. Questions or comments on matters that are currently under legal review will not receive a response. Personal attacks upon board members, staff personnel, or other persons in attendance or absent by individuals who address the board are discouraged. Presenters are cautioned that statements or representations concerning others that convey an unjustly unfavorable impression may subject the presenter to civil action for defamation. So how many do you want to give public comments? Just you? Okay, come on up. And if you can just introduce yourself for the board.
Hi, good evening. My name is Destiny Martinez. I play varsity softball, and these are all of my teammates and some of our parents who came here to support us. I'm just gonna say a few things just to speak on behalf of me and my teammates. We have letters. So first off, I would like to start by saying that I disagree with the situation on our coach Randy James not being able to be our coach. And I would like to give reasons as to why I believe Randy James is not only a great coach, but a great person as well. Since I was in 8th grade, I have been coached by Randy James and I have never had a bad experience. He has such a great heart and brings great value to our team. He has a deep understanding of the game and also sees us as people and not just athletes. RJ brings amazing vibes to the team and has created so much development. In these past few weeks of him being gone, our team has struggled immensely. With everything that he has been through these past couple of years, he has still found a way to try to be a part of our lives no matter the circumstances. His support is always needed and it's always there, day and night. If one does not believe in himself or his team, he would not keep fighting. He always inspires us players to strive for excellence both on and off the field. We just hope that we have an answer or a reason as to why our coach has been taken from us. We all feel like we have been left in the dark and we all believe that we deserve an explanation as to what's going on. We also feel like Cobre is always advocating for improvements and bettering our programs, including sports programs, but we feel like when someone finally comes in and challenges us and pushes us to our potential, it is always taken away from our school. As much as this hurts our coach, I feel it hurts us the most because we are the ones who have to play without him. It just feels like our motivation is gone. Not only does he put in countless hours for our team, but he is also a big help in the schools and all around the community, and I'm very proud to say that you can ask anyone. Thank you for your time and attention to this important issue. I'm hopeful that together we can find a positive resolution that is in the best interest of the team and the coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No one else? Was that it?
Hello, board. My name is Stevie Dominguez. I'm actually a mother of first baseman, Isis Dominguez. I'm also the wife of Randy Dominguez. Are you guys aware of the situation?
We're not allowed to engage in dialogue unless it's a set agenda item.
Okay.
But
we were just bringing, the girls are here just to voice their concerns. Yeah, that's fine if you can't discuss them, if you're aware or not, but they feel very, I want to say they kind of feel like they've been looked past. It hasn't really been addressed to them, specifically to them, or they haven't really been given any, I think just like the time to be heard. So I just want to say thank you for hearing them, for accepting the letters of character on behalf of their coach from the parents as well as the team. We do appreciate all that you guys do for us, but we do hope that you guys are able to include us maybe on the agenda next meeting so that way we can further discuss. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, any other public comment?
Hi, I'm Yesenia Silva. So I just wanted to say that Randy James is probably one of the best softball coaches we've had for our program. And my older sister, Ileana Silva, he was the coach when her senior year, and he took them to win the state championship. So Randy James is a great coach, and he knows how to coach a championship team. And this season was his first coming back, and we have never started a season off that strong with him. And so yeah, he gives us the discipline, the drive to even when the games get hard, he doesn't get down on us. He doesn't talk down on us. He always keeps us up and having fun. But yeah, I just wanted to say that he knows how to coach a championship team, and yeah, he's just been one of the best coaches we've had in our softball program, and I witnessed it because I would always go watch my sister, and I always looked up to how he coached his team, and how much my sister improved from his coaching, and I've always looked up to that. So yeah, I really hope you rethink this decision because we really do need Randy James. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else before we move on?
President McGay, members of the board, Mr. Corey, my name is Betty Pavad, and my daughter is a junior here at Cobre. She's also a member of the softball team. I think seeing these girls here is a testament of the person that they want to be a part of their team. I taught for 27 years, and just seeing these girls here supporting someone who means a lot to them. And I think that's awesome. I'm here for him because I've seen Mr. Dominguez sacrifice a lot of time away from his own family for our girls. A lot of these girls went to Louisiana, and he was a big part of why they were there. Not just for Mr. Dominguez, but I feel like I want to be a voice for all the other coaches, because I think it's very easy for people to complain, and I just don't want to see our district, because I see that we're already having a hard time filling positions, filling volunteers that we so need in our district, that I'm afraid that, people aren't going to want to come and help. They're not going to want to be a part of our kids' lives. And I think we just need to be very, very careful on this type of topic. And we need to take care of our coaches too, because we don't have all the coaches that we always need. So I just hope that you read these letters and really take heart into what not only the parents are saying, but most importantly, the girls, because that's who we're here for, is for our girls. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, that moves us to item number 4, old business. Item A, cameras.
So, let's click on that front door one. So you guys asked for a kind of report update on our system that we use now. And so we're just gonna pull up one here to kind of give you a look at what the camera systems look like for our school district.
Wow.
So as you can see, the system we use is internet-based, so we can access that from anywhere.
Normal.
Yeah, normally, even hopefully here today.
Let's take a different camera, can't we?
So I think what we're looking at here, this is Bayard Elementary School, the main entrance where you would enter the school from. The view we had before, I think, was the lobby view. Once you would make it through that front door, that's the view in the lobby. Things are moving a little slow here this evening. So usually here we would have live view, like we're literally live of what we're seeing. And then what you can do then is scroll down, and it would timestamp anyone that's came through that area. And so if you were looking for a certain time, there you go. So someone walked out, it'll put the green square box around the individual. It shows the path where they came out of the school and which way they walked. And so if we're ever going back and looking for a certain thing at a certain time, and then it tells you, you know, down there, it recorded for 4 seconds, 9 seconds. It has a little clip there that you can go watch and see. And that's the same in all of the cameras throughout the district. And then just as an update, we're currently working on Hurley and Central Elementary School. We thought we had it. We had quotes come in. I know Ms. Church and myself were pretty excited. We're like, yes. We were like, yes, yes on that. And then they came back to us and said that discounts, they were giving us too many discounts. I go, well, we're doing our job right if they're upset about that. So I think we're really close to getting to a place that those 2 remaining schools, the systems will be, I assume, will be on board before the end of this school year. In doing that, we will use all of the funds that we received through the COPS grant that I wrote last year. So we'll be able to put systems in all the schools and also radios in all of the staff members' hands. That was what the grant was intended for. And I know we're in the process of writing again for this next coming year. So hopefully we'll be successful again. And then on some of these projects, we wish we had more money. That's the story of our lives, right? Wish we had a little more money. So we're having to kind of trim back a little bit of what we would do so that we could go ahead and get these systems into all schools. And then hopefully we're successful or more funds become available. There's actually some internal pieces on the keyless entries will be done on the exterior of the buildings. The camera systems are in place. The environmental sensors are in place. But the interior doors is the part that we're having to trim back a little bit. We're hoping to get to a place that the whole district would be on an electronic key, that it would, where you could have access to, you know, different parts of the school. Different people could be granted different types of access, and then we would be able to give a key out to anyone. And if it's not used properly, we can turn that key off and it doesn't work anymore. So the safety factor would be increased greatly to have that ability. So that's just kind of a quick update on camera systems and where we're at and where we're headed. So I'm thinking the quote, we thought we had it. So I'm assuming they're pretty quick once that process goes through, that we'll have the other 2 schools completed before the end of the school year.
So for the first grant, 500,000. And what is this, the new writing grant going to be for?
We haven't picked a number yet because we'll probably have to go back and get quotes to see, like here at the high school, they have some keyless entry pieces here at the high school, but they're not on this system. So we want to get them all onto the system. So there's that. And then some of the schools, that's kind of the big piece we're missing, is the interior keyless entry piece is what we would beef up. So we'd have to figure out what that number is. The next piece that, you know, the radios was another big one. That one's going to be taken care of, and I think they're already ordered and on the way. Am I correct in that?
Yes, they're shipped from Kentwood as we speak.
Okay, and then I think the next one we've talked about is there's a film that we'd be able to do on some windows that would not allow windows to shatter. I think that's the next piece that we're looking at, and our foyer areas, and then certain schools have different areas that are more would need to beef up the safety a little bit. That's kind of the next phase that we would probably go into, that would keep that glass intact. So it's extremely expensive. That the film that goes on, and there's different levels of that. But the big thing on all of it across the board is, even say if someone comes up and shoots a window, the window stays intact. So they can't, if you've seen some of the videos, I hope you haven't, but shooters will come up and they'll shoot a window, and that window just completely falls apart and they step right inside your building. And so that would be preventing that from happening if we went to the film, which was hopefully next on the list.
The technology bonds, is that eligible for this kind of expenditures, or only for that, or only for those that affect construction?
So we looked at the technology bond, and I think there was different pieces of it, but there were funds available in this area. But what we're hoping is that we can reach out through these grants and to get funding for that, because the technology money we have very earmarked for the progression of the district in laptop computers and Chromebooks. And so we didn't, if we had to reach in there, we only wanted it to be little bits to make sure we can get a project complete, but not to go in there and wipe that budget out for security purposes when we feel like it's tailored more for keeping our district's technology pieces going.
And we increased the technology bonds by, I believe, 1.5 mils. So that would give us a little bit more money than what was intended.
Yeah, we literally spoke of this because on these quotes that are coming through, I think we're gonna have to sneak in there and maybe get a little piece of that money out.
And I'd already offered to use part of the technology money to complete these projects, especially for Hurley Central, because students come first.
Yep, I want to get these buildings completed as fast as we can.
I expressed some concern about the demo, which is police need to have the live feed. And in this case, where the live feed didn't work, have we tested the ability of police to get onto a live feed?
It's all on internet connection.
So
it's internet based.
This could happen to yours?
Well, if your internet connection is good, then it's good. It's instantaneous. I did one today, and it's instantaneous. So
yeah, I've looked at the cameras from my home in St. Clair and had no problems. Can we get that assurance from those police stations as well? Police station as well.
We can definitely double check it and make sure that they're able to. Again, it goes to their building and their ability, on the internet. The other one, hardwired. I don't know if we're hardwired or we off. And that was my guess, is that we were off the wireless. And so, being hardwired in, it's instantaneous. And then, of course, I spoke earlier about it. The police here in our area receiving keys already to our facilities, where any building door that has this system on it, they can walk up and instantly be through. And so Bayard Police and Grant County Sheriff are both the organizations that have received keys from us.
And the San Lorenzo Members Fire Department. Shouldn't be the other fire departments as well?
We asked, actually, and it was kind of interesting, but we're denied. So all we can do is ask.
Yeah, so far it's only been San Lorenzo that's asked for a key for fire purposes. So.
Mr. Corey, is it still the same company for Hurley that we're going to go with the same?
We're going with the same company across the entire district. We want to be on the same system.
We're going with the same brand of product.
Right.
The installation company might change depending on file quotes.
Okay. And what about the high school? I know we had talked about not putting so many if we get a new high school. I know we talked about that. Is that still the case, or?
Well, it's again is how far. So we were able. We have actually the high school got completed off of different funds. There were some funds that came in from the state that we were able to use here for the high school. And so the camera system is intact and exactly how we would like it. Again, exterior doors, but it's like, how far do we want to go? So we can keep going if we receive funds. to the interior and that. Again, it's one of those questions of how far do we want to go on things. Is funds used? Because you're correct, we're definitely in the hunt for a new school. So, but at the same time, I want to be respectful to the fact that students still need to be provided with a great education and be safe no matter where we are in that process. And so there's kind of a fine line we ride to make sure that that's being done, as well as trying to be mindful of, you know, we've talked to the company actually about this, and they said that they can come in and recover the equipment. But again, like Ms. Church is saying, the expensive part is the installation. That's the part that's so expensive. So the cameras and the keyless entry, those pieces are not actually that bad. It's the wiring and the installing them into the building is where it gets very expensive.
Okay, thank you.
Looking into the future, will these cameras, will they work? Or is it gonna have to be upgraded?
So you're asking the longevity of the device?
Yeah, and so in talking with law enforcement and everyone, this one is referred to as the Cadillac. So it's one of the best out there right now. So when we didn't, this is a couple of things you don't want to try the cheapies on. You want to make sure that you spend the money to get quality. I mean, if you're looking up there at some of these pictures, you can see that we're getting really good quality pictures. And in those, we have the ability to zoom in. So, you know, again, a lot of times we'll have an incident happen in a school. We can go to that camera and zoom into that event and be able to see what's happening.
And every time new features are introduced by the parent company, we automatically get access to them. So just by a software upgrade on the camera itself, we get access to those features.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Corey. That moves us to item 4B, Community Schools Grant. I don't know whose agenda item this was.
Are we moving in an effort to apply for a community schools grant?
So I know we had a little bit of a discussion about it last time, and so I would say currently we're not moving in that direction, and so I would have to get more information because I think me and you are not on the same page on that. I did do extensive research on it, but this was years ago. And again, I'll say I didn't feel it would fit for the fact of how services are here in our community. And their vision of a community school is having these services embedded into the school district. And that was the part I was running into problems with.
Okay, because during our discussion, you mentioned the lack of availability of funding, and that seems to have changed from the times.
I don't disagree. I know there's funding out there that we could go after, but I think that the piece behind that is we could have all the funding in the world. If we don't have the resources to be able to embed, I don't know at what level the funding is. It isn't like we're going to pay for a doctor to be on staff here at our school. So I don't think there's that level of funding.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, that moves us to item number 5, board members report. Ms. Heredia, do you have anything to report?
I just wanted to congratulate the Cobre High cheerleaders on taking second place at state this weekend. That was a wonderful accomplishment. So I just wanted to congratulate them and their coaches. And I know that the Cobre baseball also did very well at the St. Mike's Invitational.
Ms. Harden, do you have anything to report?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay. I'd just like to echo Ms. Heredia, congratulating the cheerleaders on their second place finish. I was sad I wasn't here for the Region 8 meeting, but thank you to Charlene and Mr. Corey for getting that together. I know you guys have lots of snow. And I also missed the parent center opening, but I hope it was successful, and I plan to stop by and check it out. And that concludes my report. Secretary Terrazas.
Same thing, echo, our student athletes, Kobe cheer, state runner-up. I know softball was a runner-up at the Artesia softball tournament as well. Kobe baseball was tournament champion up in Santa Fe. And then powerlifting also was very successful in their meet at Hatch this past weekend. So.
Vice President Guadiana.
I echo the comments about the cheerleaders as well as the events that we had during the week, and especially the one for the family center. That hopefully will get used, and I think it'll probably start out very slow, but then pick up once people become more familiar with it. But I'd like to give a little bit of an update on the lawsuits that have been filed, the 5 lawsuits. And like I said, there are 3 defendants, and myself being one, Dr. Spoleta, and the school board. And I've met with my attorney, and we've gone through the responses. The plaintiffs have submitted allegations and enumerated those allegations, and they're numerous. But there's our response to that is still confidential, so I can't get to that level. But the responses, I think, give me a good feeling of that we're in very strong ground for it going forward. And I hope we get a little bit more interaction with the other parties so that we can share that information in closed session with lots more detail so people can not be in the dark. I think every board member should know where we're at with these, and look forward to having an opportunity to bring that forward. I also, as mentioned earlier, am very concerned about the state's reach into the decisions that we make, particularly being able to remove people from their positions. The state has had an active role in how we do things. Number one, a couple of years ago, they did away with the grading status, saying it was punitive, and that they wanted to come up with a different system. And so they came up from instead of having the A, B, C, D grades, we now have proficiencies, which are still used in the very same way. In matter of fact, they come out using them more punitively than anybody else has ever instituted, saying that, okay, if you don't make this percentage by a certain period of time, you will go to a different schedule, being the 5-day versus the 4-day. They also have had almost 1 new secretary of the public education department per year. This one has been on there a little bit more than a year, so it's kind of going into uncharted territory. That communicates to me that the decisions aren't coming from PED, they're coming elsewhere. And I hope the lawsuit is very successful. It certainly stands on solid ground. None of the criteria that is being put forth for making decisions on what we do and how we're staffed are reflected in any law. And HB2 doesn't go into that level of action that can be taken from PED. So I look forward to constant updates on what goes on there and our contributions in any way that we can be.
Go ahead, Secretary.
Yeah, I just want to give the public an update. On Saturday, we will have a board retreat for training as well as interaction with our legal counsel, Stephanie Mendeville from Los Gallegos. We're looking forward to that on Saturday.
And then strategic planning in the afternoon with Mr. Chavez. So be ready all day Saturday, 8 to 5.
What a great day to spend a Saturday. What a great day.
I think Mr. Corey promised coffee. Is that right, Mr. Corey?
Charlene makes the best, so.
Okay, that moves us to item number 6, superintendent's report. Item A, updates.
So I don't have any updates, so we're just gonna start through our list here. So we got technology update first, church.
Okay, perfect.
Let me get my timer.
5 minutes.
No, one. He's challenged me with one here, so I better get started. I like show and tell when I do these things. So with the technology funds, one of the things we're doing this summer is updating Chromebooks across the elementary schools. And even though the Chromebooks themselves aren't anything revolutionary, we are getting much better cases for them so that the students who do drop them have a chance to not see it shatter into 1,000 pieces. Also, as part of the tech bond this year, we're also getting 30 new laptops for our principals, administrators, and the school board. And after much discussion, we're getting new Lenovo's, 16-inch displays, much sturdier and much more robust than the HPs that we had previously. So, y'all like, y'all feel free to look at it, drop it.
I don't know about dropping it.
In addition to the equipment upgrades, we're also trying to increase our cybersecurity posture. Part of that, we moved from the IBOS content filter system to the Cisco Umbrella content filter and IPS, which stands for Internet Intrusion Prevention System, keeps unwanted guests from getting access to our network from the outside. That has already been put in place, and we're ironing out the details there. We've also gone with a more robust and much stronger endpoint solution for all of our devices. That program is called Trend Micro. It's their extended release software, which basically means that it reaches out and determines if new things that haven't even been categorized yet are threats. That is managed software, which if you put a single person on that, you're looking at a salary you'd have to pay out of around $80,000 to $90,000 a year. We have an entire team doing that as part of the cost of the software. We're also trying to build better cybersecurity regulations in accord with the Department of Information Technology here in the state of New Mexico, so that everything is according to the way the state wants it done. A lot of people don't understand that me as technology director, I'm not just responsible to individuals at PED, but I'm also responsible to the Department of Information Technology at the state, because they have regulations that we as a public entity have to abide by as well. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Like we have our Wi-Fi.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that secured and you're reaching out to that area, like members?
Yes, ma'am. Your home Wi-Fi is more than likely secure. The security software from Trend Micro that will go on your new laptops, definitely. Hopefully, it'll get on your current laptops. Will provide even more robust security there and prevent a lot of things that might even slip by for your home internet. But yeah, I worry about that as well, because internet security just can't happen on campus. It has to happen wherever our users use their devices.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
The speed in members.
Right now, because of the way the fiber optic cable that connects our campuses runs, we have a separate fiber connection at San Lorenzo from the rest of the district. That separate fiber connection has limits. And because that separate fiber connection has limits, we are left with the problem of okay, the fastest we can get out there right now is 1 gig for the schools, whereas the rest of the district is at 2 gigs. And that's just something we have to deal with. When I was part of the evaluation committee for the service district down in Deming this past March, we looked at increasing San Lorenzo, and doing an increase out there was going to increase our internet bill out there exponentially. It was going to go from roughly $5,000 a year to something like $25,000, because they would have to run new equipment and run some new fiber that direction to be able to get those speeds currently.
So that's a one-time cost?
No, that would be our annual cost, because they would break that up over the 3 years of the contract.
Okay, so for 3 years, and then after that, it would drop to similar rates that the district pays?
That is questionable. I mean, we are also in the process, phase 2 of the statewide education network is going to be starting as far as implementation of the plans this coming year. That means in roughly 3 years, at the end of the current contract that we just signed with WNM, we should be able to go onto the state network. Again, the question is, will that state network provide higher speeds out toward San Lorenzo? And that is the question, because it's just kind of out there in the middle of nowhere. And I don't know a better way to say it, because fiber runs in rings. And right now, there isn't a ring going out toward Members. It's a single line going to the school.
But as the Yazi Martinez lawsuit has brought out, those are the things that should be taken under consideration specifically for those reasons. But the other the other question that I have is that, what is the availability for students when they're at home?
Currently, we do provide access points for students who do not have home internet. All they have to do is request one from their schools. And that will provide most areas in this region with good coverage, because it's through T-Mobile. There are a couple of dead spots, but not many compared to other vendors like T-Mobile and Verizon.
And what are those little Wi-Fi?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think Silver is facing similar with Cliff being out there too. It's just the fiber optics, like you said.
It's a issue all across the nation where rural schools come into play. Fiber is expensive, and a company doesn't want to run fiber if they know that the only people who are going to be using it is a single school. We have the same issues in Washington, and they do have a statewide education network for all the schools to be a part of, so that cost isn't coming out of their pockets. So it's just something we have to figure out, and it's going to take more than 1 year to figure it out.
Thank you for the update. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
So I just want to give you a little quick update there. I have a little bit of knowledge of that school. Before the fiber, we were unable to test students. It was so slow, I don't know what we were on. And when San Lorenzo has switched over to the fiber that is there, we're able to, they test 3, 4, and 5 at exactly the same time, all on devices, and there are no problems. So, of course, would we always like it better, faster, and more? Sure, but it is it's working so much better than whatever we had before. I'll just say that. And if we can sit down and test all our kids at the same time, we're carrying enough bandwidth to be able to do that.
Yeah, so the cameras won't be that big of a problem.
Right, we keep adding to the system, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that moves us to item C, update on Cobre High and Snell projects.
So I'm actually gonna take that one tonight because I wanted to be the person to give you not good news. We've had multiple meetings on this project, and we actually last week, and then we were actually gonna have another one today, and we ended up canceling. The district, we put it, and this is hard for us because we're talking everybody new here to our scenario. We thought we had everything perfect to where we're ready to go. What we realized in talking to them, we're getting our presentations ready, it's literally ready to go. That it's done in phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 being the design, and then phase 2 being the construction. What they've told us is that we're definitely going to have to bring money to the game. So to walk in the door and ask for a waiver, which is okay, but they're going to want the district to contribute something to this project, because this project is, of course, I didn't see the last one. We're at about $75, $80 million, somewhere in that ballpark. And so the only way, I know we have our mill levy where we need it, we have all the things where we need it, but we're gonna have to go out to bond to get money so that we can contribute to the project so that we can proceed forward. They advised us not to present this year if we did not have money to come with. They pretty much told us you're not gonna be successful. So where we are in our cycle is for next November, and this is what I'll bring to you later, is we will ask to go out for a special election, which will cost the district $25,000. In doing that, then we would hope that we would be able to have funds available next year that we could present at about the same time we're shooting for now, sometime in April or May. And so if we go out an election in November, have a couple of months to have the money on hand, and then be able to go in and ask for phase 1. Once they accept us in phase 1, then they're going to continue going with us on the ride. And so I think if we can contribute on phase 1, and then we ask for, and we can still have partial waiver on that and ask for full waiver on phase 2, that's possible. But to walk in with no funds and say we want full waiver on 1 and 2, they said that pretty much is not possible. So I think we're 1 year away, I think now, of having to go to special election with the $25,000 cost to do it. Now, if we choose, we can wait 2 years, and then that would put us on our election cycle correctly, and we would be able to do that process without the $25,000 charge. But that will put our project behind 2 years. And so, again, this is something I'll bring to you later, but I'm hoping that we would agree that we could go ahead and pay the $25,000 for the special election, so that we would only put our project behind by 1. And then and I feel great about our community. They've always been awesome in supporting us, so I don't feel a risk in not being successful in going out. But at the same time, I would like to do it where we're not, where we'd be able to go after this project 1 year from now. So it only puts us back 1.
In terms of the bond issue, if we have to go out for one, what is the mill rate you're talking about? Additional mill rate?
So the amount we're talking, it would be around 8 million. Is that correct? So that's what we would have the capacity to do.
8 million, but in terms of the mill, in terms of how it applies to the individual houses?
Well, you're gonna.
So we'll still be at 10 mil? So there won't be need for an election?
Yes, there will be election, but the mill rate will remain constant.
And the election will be because one set of the bonds are expiring?
Yes.
And that would be the general obligation bond?
Yes, base it on the current retirees, but the outstanding issues, just continue the retirement schedule.
Okay. The other part is, are we going to engage, or when are we going to engage the public on the possibility of a combined school, middle school, high school, or keeping them separate and have their input on that.
So exactly why we haven't is exactly what just happened. And so I feel like they said we can always back up. The high school was the original ask. And so I'm kind of in that same frame of mind, is that we are 100% going for the high school. So if that was one of those, what I call deal breakers, we would pull the middle school out of that equation. So I'm trying to get us in a place to where we have the ability, and that's where we were going right here, is to, if they accept us through phase 1 and they say we can go ahead and do high school, middle school, then I will go out to the community and say, this is why we feel like this is the best idea, and get community input on it. Personally, I think it's the easiest sell ever because of the staffing issues, the more, courses that we can provide for students. Like, it's a win-win-win across the board. It's just conveying that information to the public of why we feel it is, and hope they're on the same page with us. In that process, we're always able to say, we went out to our community and we're just going to go ahead and proceed with our high school. We can stop right there and just do high school. But I want to be able to have both of them accepted to have it be an option. So that's why we hadn't gone out to community input yet, because we haven't been accepted.
And could I something here on that? We also can separate it out if we want to and say we still want a middle school and we still want a high school.
Both of them are under the 100.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's all.
All right, thank you. That moves us to item D, operations update, DOT projects. And then that was just covered right there, the presentation for PFSA.
Well, I'm not going to talk to you about PSFA. Esteemed members of the board and Mr. Corey, I am so excited to be here. I have such a short, sweet little thing to tell you about for the DOT project, which is over at Central. It's that Central Drainage Project, as we've talked about. That 4 inches of pipe is in the ground, and it is at its termination point. So, woo!
How many years are you making?
I don't know. But it is installed. If you go over there, you'll see that the road looks terrible. There's potholes and everything. So I talked to the vendor this morning. He's going to come. They're going to be here tomorrow and Thursday, Friday. They're going to get that all finished up. And hopefully by Monday, we're going to be back to the roads looking normal and nice. So that's all I have to talk to you about today. You have any questions?
Thank you. Thank you for getting it done.
You're welcome.
Okay, that moves us to item E, human resources update.
Good afternoon, Madam President, Vice President, Board, Superintendent Corey. Just a quick update on some of the items that we discussed a few months ago. In regards to Smart Find Express, or the substitute finder program that we've been working on, we have had some scheduling delays, but I am happy to report that we're going to complete our final training this Wednesday. And then all that will be left to do is to train our staff on how to use it. In regards to Frontline Recruiting and Hiring Program, we went live on February 15th. So we've been using it ever since to post and advertise positions, as well as to receive applications online. And then we're currently training for the second part of Frontline, which is Frontline Central. Frontline Central will house our employee database, which will allow us to store all employee documents electronically, among other things, that are all employee records related. And finally, we've started posting positions for the new school year, more specifically our contracted positions for right now. And we're also preparing to start sending out letters of intent for the upcoming school year. That's all I have. Do you have any questions?
Just thank you on the update for the substitute finder. I think it'll be easier for teachers to go in and request this up instead of having a text, call, and then it just goes out. They can request who they want, but if that person doesn't pick it up, it just goes to the next person.
Exactly.
I've liked it. Yeah, it's good. And then has the Frontline made your job easier or is it still, like a learning process?
It's still a learning process, but it is, once we're all, it's all been come together, it's gonna definitely make our life a lot easier, with everything being electronic.
And for the frontline central, so you just scan the papers in, or?
We would be scanning papers in, so right now in the implementation process, I'm working with payroll to get, like their database of all employee information, and we're gonna transfer that into our database for Frontline Central. And then with that, as employees apply and we hire them, they'll be able to fill out all of the paperwork online, like their I-9s, their direct deposits, W-4s, it'll all be online. And then we'll receive it and we'll be able to store it online for them.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Thank you so much. Any other questions?
Yeah, one question in terms of the history. You walked into pretty much a big hole and appreciate everything you're doing to fill that in. And my question is, how far back are there still issues, and are they going to be incorporated in this new system, or just stay as they are?
So yes, I did walk into a massive big hole. And it's going to take some time. I would say, especially with records, I'm hoping to have all that done within the next few months. I'm really hoping and trying. The normal day-to-day duties are really keeping me busy, but we are incorporating everything into the new system, and we are correcting all of the deficiencies that we've had in the past.
The other question is kind of a technical question. I know that the budget interfaces the personnel data into the budget. And I was wondering if that feeds into what Frank is using for budget preparation.
No, I don't think the Frontline Central has anything to do with that. It's just employee records. They continue using Vision for all of that. That's it.
How far back do you have to input?
Well, I'm having to go back about 2 to 3 years of information that we need to gather.
Is that enough years to go back in case there is a situation that you need to go back to?
Well, we're still going to have the actual files, the paper files that we can refer to. And hopefully with time, plenty of time, years down the road, we'll be able to implement and, get all of those records into the electronic system. But that's in in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez.
Thank you. So before we move on to the next one, I just a quick comment. I wish Lisa would have stayed. This team has been unbelievable. I just cannot express to you the amount of hard work that has gone on to move our district forward. And I know their struggle is there's a great expectation of making sure the day-to-day business is still running. But then you see the challenges is they're doing that as they're having to go backwards and fix all the holes that are behind them. And it's extremely challenging. And so the amount of patience sometimes, we would love to be, everything fixed and on with life we go, but it doesn't happen that fast. But I commend the amount of hard work that, you see the whole crew sitting here, directors and coordinators, they put in a massive amount of time. And the dedication is unbelievable. And I really want to compliment them on their work and what they have done to bring our district along. And, personnel is one of those that, I honestly think our application might have been from the 1980s. It was a paper application that was archaic. And, to hear that you can apply online from anywhere in the world, the amount of candidates hopefully increases and our reach is much broader, so that's bringing, and again, what I said earlier, we want to put those amazing teachers with our students, and that's how we make the changes. But until some of our departments, which I'm so happy that this is up and running now, sometimes I feel like as a district before, we're kind of hitting our head on the wall. So it's just exciting for me to see our progress. in each and every one of their departments, and the amount of work it's taken to get them there. And, you know, we would love to be, you know, I call it zero. Zero is where we're like, we're here right now today and everything's caught up. And that's my comment I make to them. I like, when are we going to get to zero? And some of them look at me and just shake their head, meaning that we still got a little work to do, right? And, you know, Mr. Ramirez is very kind in her comments, but, you know, what she's filling in behind is immense. You know, and I feel bad for some of our employees because we've gone back to some of our employees that have worked for us for a really long time to say, hey, we need to do a background check on you because there's not one in the file. And of course they get upset because they're like, what are you doing? I mean, I've worked for your district for 20 years. Why do I need a background check? And of course, you know, she's getting the brunt of it, but she's just doing her job and she's making sure all these things are in the files and complete. And so I think sometimes it's just the knowledge and awareness of we're fixing it. We're fixing one thing at a time, and we're moving in all the right directions. And I just want a huge shout out to this team and their hard work and moving our district in all the right directions. So.
Thank you, Mr. Corey. And a lot of these departments are one person. We need to remember that too.
100%.
Okay, that moves us to item F, special projects update.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, and Superintendent Corey. My update is basically the Parent Center. We all know that we had the grand opening for it. If you missed it, I encourage you to go see it. It's pretty wonderful over there. We actually have had quite a bit of traffic. So we've had about 15 different families who visited the center, taking clothes, food, formula. So it's actually been pretty good. We also have the county commissioner is going to go and look at it. We've had different colleges wanting to go and view the center itself and get ideas. And I'm actually now partnering with Western, and we're kind of feeding off of each other. They're opening a new center for themselves over there in Deming, so hopefully that'll be really good. And then we are all working as a team for the upcoming Summer Fest.
So what is the process for us to like donate clothes, and what does that look like for?
Just go drop off clothes at the Parent Center, or you can call me also, and I can meet you and pick up clothes from you. Whatever donations. We're also accepting hygiene products for the Parent Center as well. The goal is we have a freezer there and a refrigerator, and the Commons has their grocery store there, which is amazing. The Rotary donated the freezer and refrigerator. So, I'm trying to partner with Gospel Mission, and they give frozen foods as well. So I'm hoping to get that in there soon as well.
So it is open from 8 to 5, or do you have to make an appointment?
So right now it's open when we're there, and I'm there all day. So I've been there all day just so that we can service the families and community. But if they need after hours, they're able to call me, and I'll go whatever time. I live within the community, so we can go at whatever time to help them. Thanks. Yes, ma'am.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then, are you going to give an update on Summerfest?
Oh, yeah. So the Summerfest right now, we don't have a set date because we don't have a calendar approved yet, but we are.
It's on now.
I know that the date that we're kind of looking at was the 20th, I think, the 20th, and that being the reason is that families were wanting to take that last weekend and go, do different things with their families and not be in Summerfest. So we thought it would be better that way. I've already contacted vendors and food vendors as well as vendors that sell items. I'm in contact with Raul Julieta, who is going to also be announcing again this year. So, and with the car club, we're hoping that, they're wanting to, set up differently next year, and I will be working on that. So that's going to be, so that way I can place them differently this year. So.
I know some teachers were talking about possibly doing it when they're back on contract time. That was something that was brought up last year. Maybe something to think about.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of them are getting ready in preparation, wanting to get classrooms ready and things like that.
So in calendar committee, that's where that discussion happened, and that's why we ended up bumping it backwards because of exactly, that. We kind of had a discussion back and forth of that. The whole kind of purpose of Summerfest is like the kickoff to the school year. So we understand that it's not everyone's going to participate. We know that, but it's hard to move it into the school time because then we're trying to get the school supplies and all of those other things to those students. So it's kind of like we had long discussions about that, and they were also wanting to discuss that and kind of the tie into how we're going to kick off the house system at the beginning of the year, school by school. So we had actually during calendar committee, we had a pretty long discussion about that. And I think that's where they decided, that was their decision, not ours, to bump that back a week right there to also give them time in between to go have that event, but still then be able to get ready.
Okay.
Was the feedback that we got from teachers.
Perfect, thank you.
And for me, I think that the teachers as well as admin, we all donate our times for our kids, and I think that that's important to remember as a district that our kids come first, and giving them school supplies and backpacks and free haircuts, clothing is also that they can start off the school year in a good way.
Right, thank you. Okay, that moves us to item G, our special education update. Ms. Luckhurst.
Madam President, School Board, and Mr. Corey. My update today is around our co-teaching model that we implemented at Snell on January 22nd. And so we've had some growing pains with that, which we were expecting, but it's given us some good insight for what we're going to do going forward. Next year, we will be implementing a similar program at the high school. And so Mr. Gay and I have been talking about what's been going well, what hasn't been going well, so that we can share that with the high school admin as well. Although Mr. Corey and I have also talked that we know that inclusion for everyone isn't going to always work. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation, so we are also working on that continuum of services to provide that full range of support for kids who may need additional time outside of the classroom. But again, based on state and federal legislation, we do need to have kids with their peers who are non-disabled as much as possible, so that is going to be our focus going forward for sure. And the other thing I have is just a quick compliance update that in the first quarter of the school year, we had 44% complete progress reports district-wide. Second quarter, we had 50% complete district-wide, and the third quarter, we were up to 80% district-wide. So we've done a great job improving our compliance on that, and then we're continuing to address those other issues as we go along. I'm hoping that we're even higher at the end of the year for fourth quarter. Any questions?
That's amazing, your progress notes, John. The only question I had is this co-teaching model something that you guys are considering at the elementary?
Possibly. Elementary looks a little bit different. They tend to be more inclusive by nature. So we are working more with definitely fifth grade and getting them ready for that transition to middle school where that will be the expectation. So this year I've talked with a few of the teachers at schools that they're not quite already doing that to get them kind of get that mindset going for next year fifth grade. But then definitely right now secondaries are my priority, but then going forward we will start looking at elementary and any tweaks we need to make, but that I think will be an easier transition for them than some of our middle and high school.
Thank you. Any other questions?
What is the percentage of students at Snell that's in special ed?
I don't have the exact number for Snell specifically, but
ballpark numbers fine.
I think we have 55 or so in special ed, and there's about 200 kids in the middle.
So a quarter.
So we are over-identified as a district. Typically, special ed population is around 10%, or we're about 23. So we have a lot of work to do to get our IEPs compliant and get our kids the right services in the right way, either, you know, either more or less depending on the student, but those are still things that we're working on.
In your view, how does this compare to prior to you being here?
Such as with what?
Is it a significant improvement over what we've had before, particularly in percent of compliance?
Yes. When I looked at progress reports from last school year, we had very low, I would say below 25% were completed, possibly even less than that. So yes, we've done much better this year. Even first quarter, even though it was 44%, just that was an improvement over last year. And then we've only continued to grow since then. So it's been good to see more participation in that and making sure that our kids, that we're documenting what we're doing, which should be exciting things that teachers should be proud to present that to parents, all the growth that kids are making. So
it is a very great effort and step achievement. So I'm very grateful for that. Do you have any data on how it's affecting the efficiencies of the school?
So I was just talking with Suzanne about that last week. We're looking at state data as well as district data. And because we started this towards the end of January, we won't have data until the end of the year benchmark, which is coming up in another month or so. So right now we don't have a ton of data on that. I have gotten some good feedback though that kids are more engaged, that they're learning in those gen ed classes, and so I'm hopeful that we'll see that result will show up too on our district tests.
I just want to say thanks. That was another very big hole that we had in this district. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So that moves us to item H, curriculum update.
Okay, good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Mr. Corey. So first off, I want to tell you that we're preparing for our Teacher of the Year banquet. So it looks like most of you will be going, I think all of you will be going. And that's April 30th. I want to say thank you to Charlene and to Teresa for helping me. It's a huge endeavor, and I'm excited to honor our teachers. And also I want to thank a couple of board members for helping sponsor some of the flyers that will be in our newspaper. So we have the ads coming out this Wednesday in the Silver City Daily Press. And hopefully they will be color. And there's 12 flyers that will be in the paper. And so, you know, color ads are pretty pricey. And last year I wanted him to put it in the newspaper and it never happened. So watch the newspaper this Wednesday. But we had, let's see, 9 people sponsor these ads. So Luis Terrazas, Gabriel Ramos Insurance Agency, Saya Hemphill, Gilbert Guadiana, Gabby Begay, Mayor Arnold Lopez and the Village of Santa Clara Action Committee, Rio Caliente, and Mayor Larry, somebody help me.
Ojinada.
Thank you. Ojinada. So again, watch out for the newspaper on Wednesday, and thank you, Gabby and Gilbert, for helping us sponsor those ads. Curriculum update. We are now in testing season, as you are all well aware. It's a big deal. It's you know, Gabby knows, Maureen knows, it's very stressful. A lot is on the teacher's shoulders during this time, especially now with, you know, our issue with the 4 and the 5 day calendar. So there's a lot of pressure on teachers and principals, but I want to tell you they're doing an amazing job keeping it all together. So right now we're finishing up the science test, which is New Mexico ASR. That's only for 5th, 8th, and 11th graders. The next test after that is MASA, which is your summative test, and most everybody has that almost finished up. And then we go into the IMASA. And what I think the state is looking for when they combine all our assessments is the MASA, so that's going to be a very important score. Then we have our interim assessment, which is our final assessment for grades 3rd through 8th, and that will probably happen in May. Then we have STAR testing, that's for the 9th and 12th graders happening. We have iStation progress monitoring. The big doozy is in May. So this is their last hurrah in April, and let's see what happens in May. And then we have the SAT for the 11th graders, and hopefully, I think we're done with that as well. So again, we do appreciate all the work the teachers and the principals have been doing to prepare our kids to do their best on these assessments. It's also grant season, so I've been very busy trying to keep up with the federal programs. So federal programs are different than the grants. So I wear several hats. So one of my hats is federal programs. So we have federal programs, Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV. All those type of applications are due usually in April and May. So I'm keeping very busy with that. Then also it's grant season. So any of the grants that we apply for, which like CLSD, Structured Literacy Grant, all those grants are also usually due in April as well. So we are applying for the Structured Literacy Support Grant, which we applied for last year. And so all the elementaries did apply this year again. And with that comes $25,000. And we also have an REC coach support for that. But this year we went ahead and added the middle and high school grant for that. So that will be submitted as well. What else? And then we have our Carl Perkins Next Gen and Innovation Zones grants, which will be due soon as well. And those are our high school grants. What else? We're in the process of setting up our trainings for next year. We've got to start thinking about what are those PD days going to look like in July. We've got to reach out to our vendors. We've got to see what our need is. And we obviously know our need is math and also special ed. So we already have some great training coming in from the REC for one of those days. The pack is going to be filled. We're going to have every teacher in there, every EA in there, and we will talk about inclusion and co-teaching during that training. And then we have a math training as well at the beginning of the year. So I have my vendors set up for that. And again, I need to know what my budget looks like so I can, when I do apply for these grants, and you say, yeah, I need $15,000 for my math training. So it's really important that we look ahead. I'm in the process of ordering workbooks and for next year as well. We have our after-school programs, which I'm really excited about. We did team with NMSU. We are doing, it's called Steaming Ahead. It's a science math-based program. And with that, I was a little hesitant, thinking, I don't know if I'm going to get teachers to do this because it's a lot of work. And I was talking to Mr. Corey thinking, I don't know, it's just another thing to put on our teachers. I'm really afraid that we're going to get nothing. And I am so proud of how it's all turned out. And so we had to do a really strong sales pitch to the principals first. We started with the principals, and we had the NMSU team come down, do a presentation, and then from there we did a sales pitch to the teachers, and then it was a sales pitch to parents and students. And so now, I mean, we have serviced more kiddos than I ever expected. And so we have a Generation Genius at most schools, and we have Eco Builders at the middle school. And I'm thinking we're servicing over 100 kiddos there. And and then now we're looking into summer school. We've got to get our ducks in a row for summer school. So a new program came out through PED, and we will be partnering together. It's called the Reading Institute program. And today I just had my final meeting with the teachers, and when I talked to PED the first time, I told them, I said, I'm not sure. I think I might have 5 teachers. I'm not sure about this. We have 16 teachers today that wanted to do this. And even when I was talking to Michelle Kravakis at PED, I said, you know what, I told you 9, but I think we're going to have 15 or 16. She goes, you're kidding. I said, no. So we have a really good show for summer school. We will be doing summer school for June 10th through July 3rd. We're going to stop July 3rd. And it will be 4 weeks. And that last week will only be 3 days. 5 days a week, 8 to 12. We will be servicing pre-K kiddos and pre-K to 8th. So we are getting our ducks in a row for that. We will have a transition day for 5th graders, and it's going to be a pretty special transition day. It will be a 3-day transition day. Yeah, and Steaming Ahead is going to help us with making it hands-on, fun, and engaging. We'll have buses run and pick up the kiddos. We'll have lunch, so I'm excited for that. That'll be the end of July, the last 3 days in July before they start school. And right now we're pulling together intra-service surveys in the high school for our CTE programs. We'll get more information on that to see what the kiddos are interested in, so we can start doing our programs of study, what we want to do in the high school. And trying to keep teachers trained. We have done so many trainings this year. I've tried to keep up with the pet initiatives. I think it's very important for me to know what's going on. So I have attended most of their trainings, which happen at night. So which is Accelerate versus Remediation, Schools and System Leaders, Eclipse. We go to see, we're sending a big group to CTE next week. We're sending eight of us to the CTE conference, which is exciting. Next week, we are sending 5 or 6 pre-K teachers to Choose Resilience. It's a new training, which I've heard really wonderful things about. Again, we've sent 65 teachers to Ron Clark. Again, Jasmine and I can now be a travel agent on our resume. Eclipse, we have a principal in Eclipse, we have first year principal meeting, first year principal academy, we have letters. Again, we have kept our teachers busy. And sometimes when I put things out there, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get a bite, but every single time I do. And that just stands to show that our teachers have that heart that they want to continue learning. And so pretty much I'll stop there because I know you guys want to go home. So any questions?
Thank you. Again, you're a one-person department, so thank you for all your hard work.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That makes a great difference in where we're going from not having curriculum to all these different endeavors that you're putting forward.
Yeah, it takes a team, but like I said, these teachers, like I said, I pushed things out to them and I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to get some emails back. And every single time, like I said, with this summer school, I was so surprised. And with Steaming Ahead, so surprised. So yeah, testament to our teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Terry.
Okay, that moves us to item I, Finance Department update. Mr. Ryan already answered when the budget is due, and then an update on the spring budget meeting.
Okay, I see that you saved the best news for last. Okay, first of all, our PED set our budget due date April 24th, which is just right around the corner. So we just have a couple of weeks to prepare it and just submit a tentative budget to them. But we have until June 20th for the board to approve the budget. So we just have to put something in the system, send it to them, look at it, but we have until June 20th to make any changes and really kind of tweak it to where we want to be. So we do have plenty of time up until June 20th. We'll do an approval. Our unit value increased. That's one of the things we received actually after the spring budget workshop. It went up. Our unit value is now $6,442.55, 3.22% increase, which is $200.88. And right now, what PED does is they'll send us what's called a 910B5, giving us our revenue for the year, our state equalization guarantee. We've yet to receive it from it. it's based on our 40, excuse me, our 80 and our 120 day numbers. What they do is they average those out, and our funding is based upon those. The state has not certified the 80 day or 120 day numbers yet, so we don't have good numbers yet to work with. And I spoke to my budget analyst on Friday and asked, hey, can I get just something from you preliminary? She said she was working on it diligently, that she would get us something, but I've yet to see anything yet with her. So I'll be contacting her again to see what we could do there. If I take this increase in the unit value and apply it to the number of units we have in our current year, right now we have 2,625 units, and I foresee that going down. First of all, we have a decrease in enrollment, and then there's numerous other factors that affect it. So I'm sure we're gonna have less than 2,625. But if I just use this 2,625, that will give us an increase in funding of $527,000. So that's a plus. We get a little bit more, but that's based on this year's units. Okay, so let's talk about some of the increased costs for next year. The legislature is mandating a 3% salary increase. That will cost us, just in salaries alone, I didn't figure the taxes on that, but $410,000 is so really when you add the payroll taxes on top of that, it'll be pretty close to about $500,000 increase. We are going to be receiving increase in our health, dental, and vision insurance, which both the employer and employee, it will affect. Increase in health premiums will go up 15.53%. Our dental will go up 5%, and our vision will go up 3%. So that will cost the district $204,000. So that's just one of the other items of great news. The other one is our risk insurance is increasing by about 32%. So that will cost the district about $174,000. So these are the things that we're up against in building a new budget. You know, these premiums, both the health and the risk, the New Mexico Public Schools Insurance Authority is a self-insured pool. So really this is just expenses of just the pool that make up the public schools in New Mexico, and that's it. So this is what it costs to provide our members statewide with health insurance, dental, vision. And then also there have been, on the risk side, there have been numerous claims statewide for many reasons, and so that passes on to everybody, to all the members. You know, we all have to take part in the loss of that state is paying out. Not the state, but NIMSIA is paying out.
Mr. Ryan, how does Albuquerque Public Schools get their deal? How did that work out?
When NIMSIA was created, the legislation, for some reason, excluded APS. I think probably what they did is they probably had really good lobbyists who said, you know what, we're good on our own, so they were never included. And this was probably back in the 80s when NIMSIA was created. So this has gone on for a long time. That they're on their own. They do their own thing. For both, well, I know for medical they do, but I'm not too sure about risk if they participate in risk. But with medical now, they do their own thing. So with all these costs, we're looking at an increase of about, and this is just looking at the current situation, we're looking at about an increase in expenses of just personnel, insurance, risk, of about $900,000. So, once we get our number from our state, then we'll hit the ground running, build a budget, and see how we can make this work. So that's my report. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. I think this has been something in finance that we've talked about with us wanting to prioritize school budgets and talking to school principals, but knowing the dire situation we're in with losing grant funding, it's been really hard to do that because we're going to be running on almost empty next school year.
Yes, you know how you mentioned losing grant funding. We have two. Well, really, one big one is the CARES Act money that's going away. This year we had 1.7 million to spend, and that is drying up. That goes away. We have had the CLSD grant for a number of years. Unfortunately, that carryover, have been approved to carry it into next year, so that will help us out. And that will probably give us about $550,000 right there to carry it into next year, so that will help us out also.
And it's hard, these are tough decisions that we're going to have to make.
Yes,
and
they're going to be.
Interventionists and our coaches, it's going to be a tough upcoming school year.
Yes, and it's going to be a tough budget to put together. But we have until June 20th to really hammer out some numbers. Okay. April 24th preliminary, but June 20th we'll have some good numbers. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that moves us to item 7. I'm sorry, we already covered item 7. That moves us to item 8.
Real quick, before we do that, I just one more comment. I don't know if you guys have been smelling how delicious our plaques are here, but they're so brand new that I've been enjoying the smell of them all evening. But I want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Garcia and also our Innovation Zone grant students. Here's a product right here in your hand that they're able to produce right here in our school. And I'm excited that our students are the ones that are making these and putting these out. So I just wanted to give a little shout out before we move on to our next agenda item, because I've been enjoying smelling this thing all evening, and I'm super happy they're out here with all of your names on them.
Thank you, Mr. Corey. And thank you to everyone for coming to provide an update. One of our new members had asked, well, what do we do about updates? And I said, well, why don't we just invite everyone to provide an update? So thank you guys. Okay, that moves us to item number 8. Executive session notice is hereby given so that the Cobre Board of Education will meet in executive session for the following purposes. Item 1, discussion of student issues, including personally identifiable information about student issues under section 10-15-1H4. I'll entertain a motion.
No, we go into executive session for reasons.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and do a roll call vote. Ms. Heredia?
Yes.
Mrs. Harding?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Secretary Barajas?
Yes.
And Vice President Guadiana?
Yes.
Okay, we are in executive session at 6:59. I don't know what we're going to do.
Chocolate.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Did you want to take my laptop too?
And y'all will each get a email from schedule secret laptops. Oh, this just says password's expired.
Oh, that was one. Let me put the other one in. But it says connection. Oh, of course when I read it, these are your names. Oh, that's okay. Oh, shredded.
We gotta go feed the animals. I guess I should feed you too. Oh, you're welcome. Billy, close that place. We're ready to go. Was it the one nappy?
Oh, yeah, I thought there was since you didn't get to see it.
I'm just curious. If you want to, it's not good. I honestly don't know. Because this one who's brought the Chromebook. Yes. Okay. Because this one I owe that I know. I owe for a Chromebook stuff because you know the other one. 16, 65. Still, I'm still resisting because it happened in class at school. I don't know.
Well, that's Aaron. That's nice. Then next year, we're providing insurance.
Karen asked me about that today. She called because her daughter has a broken legal table. Her daughter wrote her writing home from high school. She would like for future reference to purchase insurance.
Yes, starting next year, there's $25 insurance policies that all students participate in, and it'll cover any damage that is not intentional for the entire year. So $25, and it's a $75 limit per family. So if you've got 3 kids, or better yet, 5 kids, still only paying $75.
Hey, tell them this turns me around.
Good night. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you. See you later. Go get your clothes.
raise their hand, no.
I think that's what's wrong with mine, though, is allergy. You don't want half of a, did you eat a moon pie? Or you got you one?
Yeah. I love these boards.
Then you, we need one of those for the office. So when you were talking, does that mean that it went off air?
What, that beep?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, the Google Meet stopped, but the screen didn't. So they just didn't see anything but a Google screen for a couple minutes.
What's the name of that screen that you can do all that?
This is called an interactive flat panel.
Oh, okay.
And the great thing is, say it's you're needing a whiteboard.
Mm-hmm.
This one hasn't been activated, but this would just be a whiteboard normal. And it allows you to write on it.
That's neat.
And it's multi-touch, meaning every one of my fingers actually creates a line. But even better than that is just the sheer fact that if you got, say, your computer hooked up to it, and you've got something up there, you can actually go in here and we can annotate right over top of the page. Like, say this was an internet page, you could actually annotate right over it. And then, say you do this every year,
Save it.
we can actually save this, and that way you don't have to rewrite it.
That's pretty cool.
But Mr. Corey said I had to get rid of all the projectors in the back before we could start buying.
Oh. Where's the projectors?
Oh, they were around Christmas time. There were still like 22, 23 brand new projectors in the box. Yeah. We're down to less than 10 now, so that's still.
Just coming in and seeing stuff, all the wasted money these guys did.
Uh-huh.
But people had money up. All these people.
Well, I mean, every time I talk to somebody about Victor and Daniel, they talk about the fact that I actually get things done. They're like, we would call them and tell them something was wrong. A month later, they finally come and look at it. And you're just right here. I'm like, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. This district was a mess. So everybody's insurance is going to go up 15%.
That means that 3% raise
is out the door. You're not going to see it.
Yeah.
I think they need to give this letter to every employee. Did you read it?
No.
It's on the insurance.
shield and renegotiate, let's get better rates.
You know what annoyed me was when we got hired, and, you gave us, the insurance, Davis, commission one. But they don't have anybody here that has full companies that will take it.
Walmart.
But knowing the eye doctors we have here, I should really check to see. I mean, you would think that's what you would do is check with the companies, with our staff and see.
Well, depending on your health.
How long is it? I think on Mr. down that way, we'll see what's flashing on. Or is flashing this? I think it's straight down the hall.
Yeah, I think it's taking left at intersection, and I think it's the first one on the left. I figured it would. But yeah, Davis Vision pays hardly nothing on the exam, so the doctors don't take. They pay fairly decent on prescriptions. So what I always try to do is find an MD to be my eye doctor, because they will take medical insurance, and you just pay your deductible or your copay, whatever it is, and then go to then you use your vision insurance for your glasses or whatever. MMPSIA would pay for bariatric surgery. People wouldn't be jumping on all the diabetes medicines to lose weight. You know, in Alaska, if I would have thought about it, they would have paid the entire cost of bariatric surgery for me. And that includes my plane tickets to go to Washington to have it. They would pay for my plane tickets, my hotel room, before and after the procedure, and for the procedure itself, minus my deductible, which was $1,500.
Sorry, I was signing my taxes. She said it didn't go the way it did the other day. Drinking a lot of water, so I don't know. I think so. I just wanted that lotion. What lotion am I using? Lotion or this lunch flavors? unless I was done like that digitally.
Usually get the pen.
Well, I just do a K and then a C with a bunch of squiggles. If I could pay, I probably would, but.
I thought she did it already last year. I sent her, she's in summer. She doesn't, what I didn't know was that she had COVID. So the last day of taxes, I was stressing out. I've never done my taxes ever in my life. And I was stressing out so bad. She finally got me my tax. What's the deadline? There's a certain.
It's gotta be postmarked by 5 o'clock.
I think we did them at 4:15, something like that. I was like, no, you're in this meeting, I just have to let me know. This is crazy. Because I would have just done it somebody else.
My mom, she never filed her taxes late, even though she would do 1,500 extensions, filing extensions for all the clients. And she's like, I was like, Mom, just file an extension. She's like, yeah. And the reason I just don't do my taxes myself. I'm like, I know there's a reason. You've been doing other people's.
It's crazy how much you pay taxes. Pay taxes all year on everything.
Well, state
They
taxes.
take taxes out of your check.
State taxes here in Mexico County show me I should have gotten $650 something
from the state.
The way I calculated it, I should get around $500 from the state and $1,500 federal. When it was all said and done, I got $1,200 federal and $150 state.